Peace, peace. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, right? Your host, Joshua Tree. For people who don't know and for people who do know, welcome back to the channel. And this today's video, I want to talk about free will versus God will. And I want to talk about this particular topic because of where we are at in our current reality, right? This is the year of 2025. When you add up 2025, it equals a 9. So in numerology, that means the end of completion. That means the end of cycles. That means the end of chapters. That means that we are shifting into a new identity in 2026. So, what does this mean for you? This means that whatever you are currently going through right now, whatever struggles that you are currently going through right now, it can be due to your lack of God will, and you're giving too much emphasis and too much focus on free will, right? So let's just get more in detail about what is the difference between free will and God will, and how you need to shift more into God's will, right? Let go a little bit, surrender to have a shift happen in your life, right? So let's get straight into this video. You know what I'm saying? All right. So let's do some definitions. Okay. What is free will? All right. To keep it simple, free will is a path that you take and you rely on limited form of consciousness to act, to make a decision, to make a choice that you feel you want to experience in that particular moment. Free will is also equated to the ego. So whatever you feel that you want to experience personally, it will probably be coming from what your ego desires, your ego's preferences, your ego wants. Okay. Now, what is God's will? What is divine will? To keep it simple, God's will is a path that you take and you're utilizing universal consciousness to move through you, to guide you, to direct you down a path that is more suited for your soul's fulfillment. This particular path is more about what spirit is guiding you to do. And along this path, you may have experiences that you do not want to go through, but you need to go through to have a higher experience and ascension and evolution that needs to take place in your body or within yourself. So now you guys know the basic definitions. So let's talk a little bit about free will, and then we're going to talk a little bit about God will or divine will. So the thing about free will is it creates the illusion of choice. We are, as human beings, we have the choice to do whatever we feel we want to do. Okay. That is part of the human experience. To do is thou wilt. And this particular approach and path that you take, you'll find that you may go through a lot of experiences unnecessary. Not saying that you won't go through any experiences, but you may go through some experiences that are unnecessary because you took a path, a direction that was guided by your ego, guided by your preferences and your perception and your beliefs, that have caused unnecessary struggles and suffering. So what I'm noticing throughout this whole 2025 year, there's a lot of people who are going through a lot of unnecessary suffering because they're still stuck in their free will. They do not want to let go of their free will. They do not want to, let's say, invest into something that's going to take them to the next level, or they don't want to let go of a relationship that can take them to the next level, or they don't want to finally talk to someone that could potentially free them from the burden of this relationship, or anything you could think of where you're actively deciding to do it and it's creating suffering and you notice you're not making any changes. That can be free will taking place. That can be, well, I have the choice to do this, so I'm gonna continue to do it, and you're not receiving anything that's really transforming your life or putting you in a position that you really want to be in the deepest parts of yourself. Right now, with God will, right, God will doesn't act from the space of the ego. It is actually universal consciousness. It is intelligence. It is God's energy itself directing you through your journey. Think about the movie, for example. Think about the movie the book of Eli. In the book of Eli, his whole purpose was to, travel from one part of the world to another part of the world to write the book, write the Bible, right? And of course, for people don't know who or do know, he was blind the whole entire time. So as he's going throughout this journey, right, he is approaching a lot of enemies. He's going through a lot of experiences, and throughout the whole, pretty much the whole entire process, he's protected. Okay, and he was guided not by sight. He was guided by faith, which is in correlation to God. So he knew, he had the downloads. He knew exactly what he had to do, and he acted out what he had to do, and he was protected the whole entire time. So I'm not saying you're not going to have experiences, um, but these experiences are necessary for the journey. With free will, you're going to have unnecessary experiences that it still caters to the journey because you're just going to, it's basically like a detour route, but you're going down a longer path that you don't have to go down. A lot of times we play the avoiding game where we've been, traumatized by something or we fear something. And so it takes us down a different path. When in reality, if you really want to embody and experience the thing that you truly desire, just go directly to it. Like, stop becoming an avoidant master. We're just mastering how to avoid things that we know we need to experience. Right. So God's will is you completely detaching from all outcomes, all choices, all decisions. Now, like I said, I'm not saying you don't have choices, but what I'm saying is you need to check in with spirit and confirm, validate that the choice that you're about to make is in alignment with your higher purpose or what it is that you came here to do or whatever it is that you're supposed to be doing, right? In 2025, the name of the game is surrender. How is your surrender game? How are you experimenting with surrendering? This is your medicine. If you are suffering right now in reality, right? Whatever your reality is, if you're going through it right now, I need you to check in with your higher source. I need you to check in with spirit. I need you to check in with Christ consciousness, whatever you resonate with, and check in to see what it is you need to let go of because it's something that you're resisting. And that's why you keep having the suffering because you're resisting it. Let it go. Right. So, in order to trust into divine consciousness, because of course we struggle with this because it's not something that's tangible. And then we also struggle with it because we don't really trust in nothing greater than our logic. So, to shift more into divine universal consciousness, this in form of intelligence that can actually guide you, you have to practice detachment. All right. So, what does detachment look like? Okay. Detachment looks like removing resistance. It looks like reducing negative emotions. It looks like allowing divine timing to play out. It looks like opening yourself up to many possibilities and not just one. It looks like enhancing your trust with spirit, God, universe. It looks like having gratitude, having contentment. So, to go a little bit deeper, all right. So when I talk about removing resistance, what I'm really referring to is there is aspects of yourself, or to be more detail, just aspects of your ego, okay, that has a certain preference, has a certain like about something that it wants to continuously experience. Pay attention to what part of yourself that has resistance to something that you know you need to do. That form of resistance, you need to let go of it by accepting it. Okay. That's how you release the resistance, by accepting the resistance. So, to give you an example, is say, for instance, you need to quit your job because you know that it's time for you to quit your job. Your ego might say, well, this job feels safe, and I prefer that we do not quit our job. Your preference is creating resistance because there's something that God is telling you to do, but you're resisting it and you feel resistance in your body. So rather than feeling that resistance, you need to accept what God tells you to do and accept the message that's what you need to do. And you go to your job and you say, yo, I gotta quit. It's that simple. That's called detachment. Okay. Second thing, right, that you can do, like what I expressed, is reduce negative emotions. So if you feel anxiety, if you feel fear, if you feel desperation, and say something that you want to have an experience with, you need to reduce these negative emotions because these emotions are also feeding into resistance, which is keeping the manifestation from occurring at a faster rate because you're putting all this negative energy towards it unconsciously. Okay, the third thing, right, is trust God's timing, right? We talk about it in the social, spiritual community about everything's on divine timing. That is really a thing. That is you allowing God to prepare the experience that is meant for you on divine timing, on universe timing, versus what your mind, your linear mind might say, I want to have this experience occur by tomorrow. You don't want to do that. You don't want to have that mindset because if it's something that you really want to have, it may require you to go through a lot of experiences first to receive it. So you don't want to receive something that you haven't even um, worked through with internally to receive it. Because say for instance someone gave you $1 million and you haven't even worked with $1,000 or even $100,000, you might burn through that money so fast that wind up having no money. So that means that you were immature. That means that, if I put a seed in the ground, uh, I didn't allow the seed to fully sprout and I didn't nourish it enough. And so the plant did not grow as high as it needed to grow in order for it to flourish, in order for it to be a beautiful plant. So you are similar to that. You need to allow yourself to mature enough to receive. And that's on divine timing, not on linear ego timing. The next thing is, of course, you want to open yourself up to possibilities. A lot of times when we set out goals and we want things to happen a certain way, we actually block ourselves from having experience at a much faster rate. And so you want to you can have an idea of how you're going to go about pursuing something, but sometimes, and this is what I've noticed too, I might say I'm going to take plan A to get to my desired goal, and then next thing you know, I get plan D, something I didn't even think of comes through and intercepts, and now I take that approach, and that's the approach that actually got me to my goal faster. So it's always being mindful of the how. When you get into forms of detachment, you want to let go of the how. Like you can have an idea, but if you are truly in sync, it may not even happen the way that you think it's going to happen. So be open to possibilities. If someone throws something at you, be open to it. See what it can do for you versus like, nah, 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 that's not the way. That's not the path. I'm not doing that. Like you got to have that level of discernment too. So the next one is trust in a higher source. Trust in something that's greater than yourself. Now, this is probably one of the biggest challenges that people have with detachment because we can't trust something that we can't see. We don't know how to trust the intangible. We're all about the physical, right? But to get to this achievement level in your detachment practice, you want to consciously bring things to your awareness and your experiences that you normally would like over logically plan for, or something that you will like rationally try to understand to make sure that it plans out the way that it plans out, and shift out of that and get into a space of just doing it and trusting that something's going to support you whatever it is. So example of that might be is, say you're trying to create a digital course and you want a lot of people to invest into it. The most you can do in this whole scenario is be creative and create the digital course. Now, for you to make it to where you want to make a lot of money from it, yes, you can plan for that too, but have trust in something greater than yourself that's going to provide all these things to you. And so just put the project out and lean into this trust factor. Lean into the understanding and the knowingness and the awareness that God's spirit universe is going to support you with all your physical and emotional needs. So it's like, how can you get into the practice of always like allowing something greater to support you versus always using your rationality, and like being mindful when you're using your rationality and replace it with Christ consciousness or God consciousness to support you. And the last step, of course, is cultivate gratitude, cultivate contentment. Being content and having gratitude for what you currently have in your life will not only shift your life dramatically, but it will also enhance a lot of positive energy. Because a lot of times the ego is constantly telling you, yeah, we got everything in life, but it's that one thing we still have missing. And a lot of times that one thing that's still missing in our lives actually trumps all the positivity and all the things that we do have in our lives. That's why it's so important to do practice. It's so important to practice gratitude, because when you practice gratitude, you realize that you have a lot of stuff in your life, and these one or two things that you feel that you need so bad, it's not really that deep, because you have a lot of other things that's supporting you and that you also have. Practicing gratitude cultivates a receptive mindset, and so the more gratitude that you have, the more you're able to receive, because you are acknowledging all that you have and you are aware that you're open to receiving more. Okay. All right, everybody. So, with that being said, year 2025 is all about surrendering, letting go. So, be mindful of what it is that you're still holding on to, dissect it, question it, and let go of it. Because 9 times out of 10, it's just creating unnecessary suffering that I'm pretty sure you do not want to continue suffering from. Also, for people who are interested in inner child work, I am a energy child coach or a spiritual life coach who specializes in inner child healing. Coaching services are directly towards women who want to help alleviate a lot of emotional suffering from their childhood, and to also help you attract healthier partnerships. Okay. You have to be mindful that your inner child is the one choosing your relationships. It's not you as an adult, it's your inner child. Your inner child is literally manifesting your relationships. So if you struggle with that and would like to know more what that looks like, please send me a DM and reach out to me. Or I'll just leave my information in this video and you can reach out to me. Okay. I think on that note, I'm going to let y'all go. Peace.